Welcome back, folks, to the Membership Machine Show. We do this every Friday at 10 a.m. And next month, I'm going to be turning it into a podcast. Basically, it's going to be me and Kirk normally, but Kirk's on holiday. He done a runner after one episode, but he did tell me. And I've got my friend Spencer Forum, who also graciously sponsors the WP-Tonic podcasts and has agreed for the next couple of weeks to be my co-host. We got a fabulous subject this week. It's going to be a really interesting discussion. We got the best email marketing plugins and software for 2022. It's a confusing title to start off with. But we'll be going through all the leading email and marketing automation platforms, WordPress and SaaS-based. Spencer has tremendous knowledge. We'll be going through about 6 different definitions to find out what might be the best. And they're going to be ease of use, email design, deliverability, automation, and difference between free and paid plans. And I've got another one which I can't even read because I haven't got my glasses on, but it's going to be a great discussion. Before we go into the meat and potatoes of this show, I just want to talk about our major sponsors, Sensei LMS. If you're looking to build a learning management system and you're looking to do it on Gutenberg and WooCommerce, Sensei is a great system to look at. It is superb. They've done a tremendous amount of work to make it Gutenberg friendly. And if you're looking for integration with WooCommerce, I would suggest it's one of the best WordPress learning management plugins on the market. And they've got a load of extra functionality. To get all these goodies, I've got a link which will take you to the WP-Tonic recommendation page. And on there, you get a 20% discount off the normal pricing. It's a great exclusive offer. So go over there and use the link. I've also got a couple of products that Spencer does. Got Launch Flows, which is one of the best ways of making WooCommerce a great modern shopping cart one-page solution. There's a special link which will take you to a fantastic special offer on the WP-Tonic for Launch Flows, and also got a link to WP Launchify, which is Spencer's consultation company, where you can book a consultation with Spencer and get some great advice and insight about building a membership or marketing automation or WooCommerce. He knows almost everything. So let's go straight into it. Where to start, Spencer? Because I think even
number one.
Just to start off, I think like a lot of these subjects, what is email marketing? Where does the boundaries start with email marketing and marketing automation? It all rolls into a CRM as well. All these terms are kind of all out there. They're used to describe different platforms, different functionality. It's a bit confusing. Would you agree with that statement?
I mean, I think in general, the WordPress ecosystem is confusing at the moment, but also in terms of features, the difference I would put forth for somebody to consider is email marketing has been around for a long time. Marketing automation has only been around recently insofar as it's able to work with WordPress. Marketing automation has been around for a solid decade or more through sites like Infusionsoft and so forth, but it's only recently in the last 4 to 5 years through WP Fusion and otherwise that you've been able to do marketing automation with a WordPress site. So the difference in my mind is email marketing is your traditional, somebody signs up for a list and you send them emails. Marketing automation is where you're tracking somebody's journey through a series of events, usually on a website, whether it's a SaaS or WordPress, and then responding by giving them tags and or segmenting them automatically so that their journey is different or their access is different. So you could kind of see the two are different. Email marketing is strictly just one channel on the TV. It's I send you emails and you click links. Marketing automation is I correspond with you maybe by email, but maybe on the website. And I track what your responses and your input is. And then I give you a different journey based upon that. They're really completely, I would say, different animals.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
Yeah, but
one is a black and white TV and one is multicolor, you know.
Yeah, but I think they're all these different players come from different. Some come from email marketing and they've gone into automation. Others have gone in from automation and have gone into email. So let's start off with what I think is the best WordPress solution at the present moment for certain types of email, and definitely if you want automation, I think it's the best offering, and that's Fluent CRM. What do you think of Fluent CRM? What do you see of it as its strengths and its weaknesses, Spencer? Oh, are you there?
Yeah, hold on. I had to switch to my backup Verizon because they're doing construction on my Xfinity.
Right.
So I have my Verizon now. So Fluent CRM is, to me, there's Groundhog, which we have on the list, and there's Fluent CRM. There's really only two plugin CRMs available in the WordPress ecosystem, and that's the differentiator, to answer your question, between the 50 plus other CRM choices that exist for marketing automation on the SaaS level. Now, you can connect any or all of them to WordPress via WP Fusion, as well as through some other tools like Integromat and Zapier and Automator WP. But WP Fusion is kind of the main connector, the USB cable. Yeah. So when you talk about the difference, the benefits of a plugin CRM versus a SaaS CRM. Now, I want to differentiate too, because again, he was a colleague of both of ours, still is, but like was on the show and everything. Adrian decided.
Yeah, I like to. We have got it on the list, but I just want
to differentiate one thing on Fluent. The difference between Fluent and Groundhog is that Fluent, Shahjahan Jewel and his team chose to make a plugin that is limited to that feature. Groundhog, as we'll talk about, wanted to become more of a platform, and that's important.
Yeah. So I see the strengths of Fluent CRM is that it's got a very similar interface and building the automatizations to something like ActiveCampaign. It's got a very similar way of building the automatizations, and also I think it's the most powerful, well sought out in UX design and functionality of all the offerings to some extent at the present moment, if you're looking to do it natively on WordPress. Would you agree with that?
I would answer by saying affirmatively that it's my first choice for a plugin CRM for some of the other reasons. I would say that as we are approaching the middle to end of 2022, that nearly all of the plugins in the SaaS companies have a similar amount of tools. I don't particularly think that the difference in the UX is better or worse between, let's say, Fluent, ActiveCampaign, Groundhog, or whatever, because they all have the basic components. What I think it comes down to is that somebody who wants to do email marketing has a certain set of tools and knowledge. Somebody who wants to do marketing automation needs a much broader understanding of what they're doing because of the reasons I just said. So all of those products have a capable interface. The question is which tools are at hand. And I can definitely, when we talk about some of these, I can definitely give you opinions about which of the SaaS companies have horrendous UXs or, things that are unreasonable. I mean, just as an off example, I don't know if it's on our list, but like, for example, HubSpot, which is $1 billion company, number 8 on the list. They don't need help from me or anybody. But I got to be honest with you. It's unbelievable in 2022 that they don't have tags as proper tags. Instead,
we're going to go. I want to keep this focus on each one because otherwise we're going to dart around. So what do you see as the strengths of Fluent CRM? And are there any elements, real major weaknesses in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I can do the 2 columns really easy. The strengths, Your total cost of ownership, $129 for a single site per year. No cost to grow your list. Connects via their free Fluent SMTP plugin or any SMTP plugin to a service that you're probably already using. Something like, it could be Google as an SMTP, or it could be Amazon SES or MailGrid, Mailgun, SendGrid, excuse me. $15 a month, you get 50,000 email sends, and you can grow your list to whatever. Second advantage, it doesn't have to talk through an API or webhook call because it's a plugin. Yeah. So it works natively. It's fast. There's no waiting around. There's no asynchronous problem. And number 3 is that it really has some clever integrations natively. So sometimes, and we do this at LaunchKit and LaunchFlows and WP Launchify, sometimes we bifurcate where the responsibilities lie. When you're using a Fluent setup, you can offload some of the things that you otherwise need to build automation for when you're connecting WP Fusion to a SaaS CRM, because Fluent can just do it now and do it through another connector. The downsides of it for some people is there are some of, not a lot anymore, there's some triggers that don't exist yet, or automations that don't exist yet. They're building them. There's still a feeling that some people have, which is, I think, a false premise, that it's not as reliable as going to an active campaign and using their servers. But on the other hand, I flip it around and say, I think that's the opposite of true, because active campaign has the same bad days as everybody. And then there's the learning curve, right? So it's a new tool where there's documentation, but it's a relatively new product. So unless
it's been out, I think they've been at it for 2 years now, so it's mature.
I mean, compared to active campaign, which is, or whatever you were going to compare it to, there's a lot of CRMs that have been around for a long time, but those things have lists of, wish lists that are as long as your arm that never get
No, and I really love the team, Joe and his team. They've got a great reputation in the WordPress community.
They're extremely responsive, and one of the things I love about working with them so much, and again, that's that conversation I alluded to. Adrian and his team are amazing, but
I disagree. I disagree with you there fundamentally.
Let me finish my thought. He's very steadfast in the same way we talked about Nathalie Lusser and Access Ally. He has a vision for what he wants it to be. His vision of what he wants it to be, in my opinion, is not what I want it to be part of the stack in WordPress plugin stack. Whereas Fluent is 100% Shah Jahan and his team on board with, they're a team of features with other features from other authors. And I think that's what we need in WordPress. We don't need a platform in a plugin, which is what I would say that's going on.
You might as well just go and use the SaaS. So let's go and talk. Let's talk about on the cheaper side of the SaaS, or one that built up a massive following through offering a very impressive free product. I don't think it's so impressive now. And another one that I think is on the cheaper side, aimed at the small. I'm getting feedback from you, Spencer. All right.
I turned off my mic.
Right. And another offering, which I think is great for the individual entrepreneur and the small business. So I want your opinions of the strengths and weaknesses of MailChimp or MailerLite. I'm still getting feedback from you, Spence.
I don't know what to do about that because everything's off. So, I mean, is it feeding back now? I was close to the mic for a second. Sorted now?
No, not really. I'm getting echo.
Hold on. I don't know what else. Let me turn off the thing. Let me just close this other laptop. There. Does that make any difference?
Yes, that's made a difference. Okay. So what do you what's your thoughts about MailChimp and MailerLite?
Well, let me get MailerLite out of the way. MailerLite is, to my opinion, of no great consequence to anybody in this conversation, because it is a plugin from the in-between world, if you will ask me, between email marketing and marketing automation. I would use, for example, a difference. If you really wanted to spend little money, use Sendinblue, which has now full marketing automation capabilities in it. Both of these will work through WP Fusion, but MailerLite, when it's all said and done, there's no real bargain there for the tool set that it provides to you versus a Sendinblue, which is a much more mature product and has some significant financial backing. Whereas MailChimp is the 800-pound gorilla. As we all know, it was sold for billions of dollars last year. There seems to be a lot of politics with the new CEO, which is a lot of drama. But on the downside, MailChimp, in my opinion, is really unfortunate because it was the one that made the interface so easy and accessible for early adopters to email marketing. And they grew such a big following and had such a great level of improvements under, Ben and the original team. But when the time came to do marketing automation, mic drop, they just completely flubbed it and decided to go kind of like the half-ass, let's pretend we're HubSpot and not bother to have proper, triggers and actions and things you can do. So it's, again, inexpensive, easy to onboard, huge breadth of users. But when you really want to do something with it, it's like you bought a tricycle instead of a 10-speed and you're a little embarrassed because, now I got to start over again anyway. So,
yeah, I agree with most of what you say, but I don't agree with everything you said about MailerLite, because I know a lot of small businesses locally that use it, and they love it, and they love the interface, and they find it of these SaaS providers. If you're a small business, I think they're quite generous in the free plan and the functionality that they're offering. And I know a lot of individuals, but they've moved to WordPress though, but they really, compared to what MailChimp was offering, if you're going to look at either of these two, I would look at MailerLite.
I don't know if it's a problem. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I have no problem with MailerLite. But the way I answered the question, which I just want to reiterate, is if you go to the grocery store and there's 27 different flavors of carbonated water, okay, like the value proposition or the thing that you're differentiating them on is going to be either price or how many bubbles or which one your friends like. There's really no difference between all of them. They're water and bubbles and a little artificial sweetener. MailerLite, for their free plan, it's 1,000 subscribers and it's capable. But in terms of what it does and how it works and everything else, my suggestion was if you go to Sendinblue, which I think you have on your list, don't you?
No, I don't think I did, actually. You caught me out there.
Go to Sendinblue just as a reference. And for somebody who's looking for a value proposition, you really get a much better value. The pricing model there is free is, I'm looking at it right now, I'm not sure, 0 month, unlimited contacts, up to 300 emails per day, plus automation. Like there's no lists.
But the thing is, but that's the problem. 300 emails a day with MailerLite, which covers most small businesses, most individuals, covers most of them, and you don't have any of this 300 a day business. You can just send it out. That's, we have to.
If you go to the Lite version for $25 a month, you get no daily limit on emails and 20,000 people on your list.
Yeah, it's great, but I'm talking about somebody that's looking for a really low cost. So we have to agree to disagree. Let's go.
We agree to disagree, but I just want to make it like it's sort of like shopping for another kind of advice. If money is your absolute imperative, I ask you, are you seriously trying to run a business where the difference between $0, $9, and $25 a month makes a difference? Because if it is, then quite frankly, you should just start with something for free and try to make revenue and then pick the right tool for when you're ready. Because trying to pick business features between $9 and $25 a month, that's ridiculous. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
We got a question from Craig, and you can join us live on the show and put some questions to us. And Craig, this is what we're disagreeing on, Craig. I think if you're looking for that free to test the waters,
I'll do Fluent CRM free.
Yeah, Fluent, or try MailerLite. But let's go on to the next one. Let's go on to Groundhog. In the WordPress, you're going kind of quasi-native with Ground. What's your views of the strengths and weaknesses of Groundhog, Spencer?
Again, I admire Adrian and his team because we had a long 2-hour talk at some point where I said, I need him to let me know where he's going with this, because the way it was going in the early days, I was sending people that direction and I was getting very upset and disappointed because they were not delivering on their promise. He's very, very strong-minded and young, and I no doubt he will succeed. But my takeaway, without putting words in Adrian's mouth, is he's building a SaaS platform in a plugin. Okay.
Yeah.
And Godspeed, because I know he'll succeed. But that is not what I want.
I don't think he is.
For a
That's the
WordPress
whole point.
plugin. It is not a judgment, good or bad. It is for the same reason that we talk about Nathalie. I wish her the best of luck, and she's succeeding beyond anyone's expectation. But I can't work with a platform in a plugin. I need a Lego block. I don't want a Lego kit that has different, connectors. So for that reason, if you are going with Groundhog, go with Groundhog as your platform. And by the way, we work with WordPress, because it's not that there are problems. It's just that, first of all, you have to pay for it. There's no like Lite or free option that I'm aware of. And, you're essentially investing in what they're building, which, by the way, doesn't mean you'll have any less success. You might have better success, but you are committing to using those set of tools. Whereas the other stuff like Affluent and the other ones I mentioned that you connect so far with WP Fusion, they're agnostic. You could start with ActiveCampaign today, connected to WordPress with WP Fusion, and switch it out later. No problem. Not.
Well, my take on this is a bit different to yours. I think the strength is that Adrian and his team have done a lot of work in integrating Groundhog with a lot of other third-party plugins in the WordPress platform, and he spent a lot of time and effort on that. One of the not such good things is the pricing structure that he offers on his website. It is confusing, to say the least, and compared to some of the other WordPress native systems we're going to discuss, it's not very good value.
Because you're going to need, here's why. Because as you just said, if you start with something that isn't trying to charge you as a rental every month, right, like a SaaS, you can use a plugin that you pay for once, like WP Fusion, per year, and do whatever.
Yeah, but we are going to talk about WP Fusion, but by utilizing it, WP Fusion is a great way of making these native plugins do integrate with CRMs, but its main strength is if you're going to attempt to integrate a SaaS-based system with WordPress. So I think we've got to make that clear, Spencer, because it causes...
I am. I mean, let's just clarify, because I tried to do this at the beginning. There's two plugins in WordPress, Fluent and Groundhog, right? So
no, there's about two others we're going to be discussing as well in the native system. So I just want to keep this on track. So just to finish off with Groundhog, the other thing that got them into hot waters that I feel was unnecessary is that they overpromised. Basically, at the present moment, they've got a waterfall interface. It's a step-by-step waterfall, as I call it. I quite like it myself. The way my mind works, compared to ActiveCampaign or Fluent CRM, which is a diagram-based building your automatizations, the Groundhog has what I call a step-by-step waterfall interface. There's a lot of people that come from ActiveCampaign that don't like that. They're used to utilizing a diagram-based interface to build the automatizations. Now, he promised a lot. He promised that there was going to be a major upgrade to the interface. He's been promising this for over a year, and he never managed to pull it off. He made a lot of promises and he didn't keep to them, and he peeved off quite a lot of people on his platform. It wasn't such a deal with me because I like the existing interface anyway, but compared to the 100+ developers that Fluent CRM has, he can't compete. He's just been blown out the water, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't agree with that point. I don't agree because first of all, the things that went wrong in the beginning, I can just chalk those up to as an entrepreneur, and launch fast, furious, break the hell out of it, fix it, apologize, whatever. The differentiator about the integrations is valid, which is, there's a free plugin that you can get that's very limited. It's very limited, much like Fluent is very limited. But you ultimately have to think of, where am I going with this? And it's $129 a year versus Groundhog, which I think their minimal is $29. Let me see.
It's 40, but I might be wrong.
Their minimal
it's 20 per month. It's 20 per month, actually.
It's 20. Okay, here I'm on their pricing page now, and it's actually it says 40 per month here. So for $540 per month. Now maybe you get a discount on that. So for an average person, let's say it's $480 a year versus $129 a year. And technically speaking, I think you pay extra for various things when it comes to maybe add-ons and so forth as well. I don't think that that's necessarily included in the base price. So at the end of the day, now you're talking about something where you're competing against, honestly, the price of ActiveCampaign, or in some cases Keep, or one of the, I would never recommend that, but ActiveCampaign, let's say. And so from that standpoint, I go, they're really not the same thing. Fluent is a one-time-a-year plugin, and that's it. And every other conversation about interface, it's esoteric, And Adrian and his team will succeed, but they'll succeed by doing it at the pace they get there. And
sure. Yeah, we all got different point of views. This is the point of this show. It's great stuff. Let's go off to one of the big players, one of the gorillas in the SaaS. Let's go off to ActiveCampaign. So my thoughts about ActiveCampaign compared to some of it tries to play into two playgrounds. It likes to play in the MailChimp, in the small business entrepreneur playground, but it also plays in the big boy playground of Keep, which I totally agree with you, or something like HubSpot, or it really revolutionized the SaaS-based marketing automation market when it entered the market. It's a great company. That it is pricey, especially it gets pricey pretty quick. It supports pretty good, and they provide a lot of documentation and other training resources. A lot of people try and use it as a CRM. I don't think that's what my stance, and it gets pretty expensive pretty quick. What's your own thoughts, Spencer?
Well, let's clarify a couple of the points that I agree with you, but I want to make sure it's clear. First of all, when you're connecting with WP Fusion, which I keep falling back on for a very good reason, unlike a plugin, you need to have something that essentially is a two-way connectivity between the users and the contacts. ActiveCampaign is an A+ on our review every year of plugins, of SaaS CRMs, excuse me. It has all of the features that optimize your capability. And for many people, they misunderstand. With rare exceptions, you only need the Lite plan of ActiveCampaign when you're using WP Fusion. Nevertheless, even though it starts at $29 a month for 1,000 contacts, you are very correct. As you grow your list, even to 5,000, it's at $79 a month. And then 10,000, it's $139. So we say to people, if you go ActiveCampaign, go with the Lite plan. Plan on spending $150 to $250 a month on your CRM for Zoom. But if you have 25,000 contacts, let's hope that you've got a business that makes more than $250 a month by then, because otherwise you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, honestly. Yeah. So the big difference is that it's esoteric today, but there was a time when Fluent was very young, when we were like, ActiveCampaign still has what you need, and this is a little questionable. Now it really almost always defaults for many of our customers to saying, start with Fluent CRM. And if any of the features that ActiveCampaign can still do are compelling, for example, you need to move to advanced reporting, which, by the way, you're going to have to pay for the pro version. Yeah. But there are a few of our customers that needed that. Yeah. In terms of reliability, though, this is what's ironic. They have a great setup. They're here in Chicago. They have a huge audience. Yeah. I think 50,000 plus customers. But for most marketing automation,
yeah, I think there's two areas here. I think for 90% of clientele, I think looking at Fluent CRM with a good hosting provider, plug WP-Tonic, good hosting provider, and with the using, I would go to SendGrid, or Amazon Web Services if you're sending out a lot. But then for the smaller client, I just think that's for the smaller client, bigger client. 90% of those clients, Fluent CRM, and then you could also look at WP Fusion as well. I think that's a great, for almost 90% of clients, that's a great solution. Now, for the enterprise, I think you got to make a decision. Am I gonna stay with Active Campaign, or am I gonna go with something like either HubSpot or Zoho CRM? Am I gonna go with that route? Because when it comes to the CRM, which a bigger company is going to be interested in, that's where Active Campaign, it doesn't compare to HubSpot or Zoho. So
yeah,
you got to.
I don't agree with that one.
All right, fair enough. So
here's why.
Here's
why. In dealing with this specific topic, this is really the primary focus of my daily free phone calls, because we take all the onboarding calls for free from WP Fusion. They have a huge number of clients that come from Salesforce, HubSpot, Infusionsoft, Keep, and all the other ones, including Drip, MailerLite, all the way down the road. But for the big companies, here's what happens. You have a large enterprise that previously thought of WordPress as like a butterfly floating around in the sky, but realizes, whoa, we actually need to use WordPress for our membership site or our social network or whatever. And then they go, how can we connect these two worlds? So the Salesforce, the HubSpot, the Infusionsoft customers who are coming from enterprise, who have usually 7 people on the call with me on Zoom and have been spending thousands of dollars a month, they've already invested in teams of people who work with the interface of those CRMs first. And that's why they need to stay with a HubSpot or Infusionsoft or Salesforce. Because otherwise, if they don't do anything on a interactive level with person to the interface, I say there's absolutely no reason not to move to Fluent. Because when you're talking about marketing automation versus a CRM capability, those are really different things. The CRM is typically, think of high ticket salesperson selling, or Salesforce has a back office software that connects to the lead form in the front. HubSpot and Salesforce especially are selling huge markups on those parts of what their businesses do. But for most businesses that have a WordPress site first, they just need a very small 2 set of features. They need marketing automation, and they need maybe some emails being sent.
I fundamentally disagree with you here, but let's move on. But we can do a wrap up at the end, because I've got some big association clients and some other bigger clients, and we leave it to the wrap up. So they want it because they're worried about their jobs, and they're worried about the fact that they'll get their asses canned if they recommend something that's not HubSpot or Salesforce or Infusionsoft, because that's how corporations work. And they don't care because it's not their money. So they spend $17,000 a month for Salesforce when they could do it for $129 a year with Fluent CRM. That's the truth. And that's what I see every day. Yeah. So I think that I agree with an almost 95%, but I think there's a little bit more extra there, but there we go. So let's go on to a newer play on the native side, WordPress. Let's go over to Funnel Kit. We offer it as part of our hosting package if you want it. So it's a new player. I think they've been doing some interesting stuff in UX design and that. What's your thoughts about Funnel Kit, Spence?
Yeah, I don't understand how this one is in the same realm, but I mean, this is a different product, if you ask me. It does some of the same things, but this is like, again, because I write launch flows for WooCommerce, and there's 4 other competitors, 2 of which, and I think this is in the category, so maybe it's 3, are in the business of doing emails and marketing automation, like Autonomy, right? From another one, which I don't know if you've got that on here.
Yeah, we're going to be discussing that as well.
So I'm saying, like, this isn't really I don't feel like this is an email marketing automation product. I think this is a sales funnel product, hence the name. So I'm just sort of having trouble when I said there's 2 plugins for CRMs and automation. I meant it, because this to me is not actually a CRM or an email marketing plugin.
They got investment. They've got investment now. I think I'm correct from this, from one of your favorite WordPress entrepreneurs that you said such kind words
Which
about. Shall I mention him? You know,
from Saeed.
yes, he's got investment.
But see, the point is, even in their call to action, use the most powerful WordPress funnel builder. This is a funnel builder. This isn't an email.
No, they do marketing automation.
Okay,
as well.
My opinion is, if you needed to buy a bicycle and you bought a school bus, they'll both get you where you're going, but you're not buying a bicycle when you buy a school bus. This is a school bus, and we're talking about bicycles. So I don't really have an opinion to sound trite about it.
So I've got one. We've used it with some clients who really liked it. It's got a really very similar interface to Fluent CRM. It's utilizing the diagram kind of interface, which Fluent CRM. It's got some interesting, the actual UX design of it is actually superior than Fluent CRM to some extent. And the pricing, it starts at 179, so it's starting a little bit more expensive. But I think it kind of was really moving at a rapid speed, and then it slowed down. And then I heard on that Syed has invested, I think he's bought about 40% of the company as he does. I don't know if it's going to become a really active competitor to Fluent CRM. We just have to follow it.
See, this is where, like, I have trouble with your explanation, because I know you're trying to be broad in this.
Yeah.
All of the things this thing automates have to do with the sales funnel, whereas CRMs have to do with behavior across the whole site.
I just think it's all these terms
thrown out. Let me give the audience a tangible example. With Fluent CRM, somebody can register, log in, take a LearnDash or a Lifter course, complete a lesson, and you can track that behavior. This is set up for, did they look at your product, buy another product? They're not using the same logic. There's totally different reasons to have these tools. And if you went with this, you'd still need to use another tool to track that other behavior. Sorry.
What they need to do is sign up for a consultation with you, Spencer. That's what I'm saying.
If you just read what they say, they're selling highest rated WordPress funnel builder, not CRM. Yeah. There's a difference.
You
don't have me on the show to agree with you, Jonathan. We've known each other too long. I'm not pandering to your putting something in that's like an apple in a bag of oranges. Sorry. It's a great product for what it is, but it's not an email marketing automation plugin.
We have to agree to disagree,
okay,
because we're going to be talking about a SaaS product now that does exactly what you're pointing out with Funnel Kit.
Which one?
We're talking about ConvertKit, which it does email, but does, but I'm getting that feedback again from
I have nothing else on. I'll turn off my mic.
Switch it all off. There you go. I think it kind of, so ConvertKit, they were very effective. Their founder, they got through marketing and influence marketing, especially, they become the love child of the professional blogger, I would call it. It's a good product, but my God, it's pricey. I also think it starts at $9, but it's only 300 subscribers. This is going to be a strong. I couldn't find the right word. I find their pricing structure, Spencer, to be deceptive, almost on the verge of deceptive. I find the way they've got this. You slide this thing, and I think it's really pricey, and I really wonder if you're going to look at a SaaS solution, why you don't look at Active Campaign. But what's your thoughts about it, Spencer?
Okay, a couple things. First of all, I'm not sure I understand when you put this in the same bundle as a funnel builder, because this clearly is a marketing tool. This is email marketing. The automation part is similar to any of the other CRMs, though, because you need to connect it to WordPress with WP Fusion to get the full benefit. When you come to the pricing page, I do agree that it's interesting the way they say it, but I don't know if they're not being cagey, because you have the monthly, yearly, and then the slider, and you have to slide the slider to, let's say we were talking about a moment ago, Sendinblue and stuff. So if you slide it to 25,000 people monthly, it's $199 a month, which again, it's not unreasonable. It's not out of the realm of the other ones, but it's still not unlimited people for $129 a year, like a Fluent and so forth. So from the standpoint of Nathan Barry, his founder's journey is well documented. He's very open. I trust this company just like I would trust Drip, which was originally from Rob Walling and so forth. However, this is just in the list of 54 other SaaS services, and there's nothing about ConvertKit that would compel me to use it over one of the other choices, like either Active Campaign or Fluent, because this is a product that you use if you have a blog, or if you have another SaaS service that you're using, like a newsletter or something. This is what you use instead of a WordPress stack. So we're going back to that same conversation. Like, I want to buy a feature for my WordPress stack, or do I want to buy a service that on its own is like literally running my business? And for that, I mean, that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, this is a really solid choice for a SaaS platform, but not as much does it compel me to be a feature of a WordPress site.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go on to another. You need to mute your mic again. Let's go on to another native WordPress, WP Funnels, Woo Funnels, and Automani. What's your thoughts about the actual very WooCommerce, initially very WooCommerce orientated, that Automani, the difference between the Woo Funnels and Automani, I understand it, but I think it causes enormous confusion. They seem to be now trying to rebrand under WP Funnels. Seem to be doing some interesting stuff. What's your thoughts about them, Spencer?
Really cool product, great team, lots of energy. Definitely is a sales funnel first product. No matter what other automations they do, this is a funnel builder first. Drag and drop sales funnel builder for WordPress. So I wouldn't suggest that anybody confuse this with a CRM. Autonomy is a CRM technically, but it's oriented with all the actions and the triggers and everything else, conditionals or whatever term you want to use for it, benchmarks, that it is about selling stuff, specifically WooCommerce in this case. And it is in the space where cart flows, launch flows, there's WP funnels, funnel kit. Those are all in the same space. Woo funnels, those are funnel things. Fluent and Groundhog are in CRM space along with those other SaaS ones.
Oh, so, well, I see where you're coming from. So
Autonomy, by the way, has done a really interesting thing, but I've said this publicly. They've taken on the job of being the head chef, the sous chef, the person who buys the vegetables, the person who runs the front. They've taken on all these jobs on their own. God bless them if they want to do that, because that's the difference between what I've chosen to do with launch flows, because I've chosen to rely on each particular plugin for their specialty. So for example, Fluent CRM does all of the CRM stuff, and I stay the heck out of that, because by doing both of them, you're committing your customers to the same gilded cage. Like, all those things now are on me, and there's somebody who knows how to do it better in many cases.
Yeah, I do. I do agree with what you're stating there. I do agree with most of what you say.
You don't have to agree with me. It makes a more interesting show, and it's an honest show, because these founders and I all have first person. We're all colleagues. Yeah. It's just we're making different products to put on the shelf of the grocery store, and I think it's just important to be clear when you're saying, like,
I think I did like how you explained it 30
just be
seconds.
clear about what we're talking about.
Because I kind of threw them all in because they're all. I feel there's a lot of overlap between the email, the marketing automation, the funnel building. There's just an enormous. It's like Active Campaign. Recently, they were very deficient about landing pages, but about a month ago, they introduced their email templates were quite good, not fantastic. It's one of the things why people also liked ConvertKit. But now they've adapted their email templates into landing pages, and you get part of that of the Active Campaign. So they're all cross-fertilizing one another a bit. So let's talk about a totally different beast, HubSpot. Now, these people know how to market, and my God, they know how to charge as well.
Welcome to old school.
But they know how to market, don't they? You've got to give them 9, almost 10 out of 10 for marketing, haven't you? And this company's still growing hard and still making a ton of money.
For the corporate, listen, I know directly, indirectly, their leadership, I can't fault them a bit for making money. They had a really rough start in the early days, David Cancel and the politics of all whatever, this and that. Then the market changed. They seem to have made a full recovery, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company. However, I just want to be clear. Just like Mark Benioff can do any effing thing he wants because he's a billionaire, so can HubSpot. And HubSpot has no reason to listen to you, me, or anyone else because they're making money like faster they can print it. However, for a normal person in the WordPress space, if you are in WordPress and you're not a C-suite person, if you're not working as an officer of a corporation where somebody's going to like fire your ass or question your credibility because you didn't get HubSpot. This is the same thing that, by the way, happens with Oracle and Microsoft and everything else. It's like people get money to spend and they're afraid to do anything other than emperors telling them, like the Emperor's New Clothes story, that yes, HubSpot. Just go to their pricing plan page. HubSpot does not even have basic tags. You're not going to need any of the sales page stuff that they offer because you're going to use WordPress and Gutenberg anyway with WP Fusion. The starter plan is so full of shit. It's $50 a month for 1,000.
But they do offer a free plan, a free CRM.
Nonsense. Their starter plan, $50 a month for 1,000 contacts when you pay monthly. Then click the professional at 1,000. It goes from $50 a month immediately to $890 a month. And guess what you can do with the starter plan? Less than zero. It is so hobnailed as to be completely inefficient. And their free plan is worse because they sucker you in to thinking that you can do something. And I have had clients come to me who have been sold $17,000 of training on a contract for a business that needed $129 Fluent CRM plugin, only to be given a person from another country who made them sit there and watch YouTube videos with them. And I find that completely dishonest at so many levels, because a corporation that uses the entire platform and has the money to spend, fine. But when they're marketing to entrepreneurs and you go from $50 a month to $900 a month, that's just dishonest. Sorry.
Well,
so many better choices.
It's not nice, but it's not, dishonest is a strong word, but it's up to you to utilize it.
It's disingenuous on the border of dishonest, because look, if I said to you, you're buying eggs for your family, how many people in your family? I don't know, I got 4 people. Okay, here's 2 eggs. Try them out. It's $1. And then you're like, oh, awesome. I want eggs for the rest of my family. It's $180 for the other 10 eggs. You'd be like,
oh, dude, I got to laugh at Craig's little response about HubSpot. There we go.
It's not going to go away anytime soon. Neither is Salesforce. So they don't need to go away because they're just not the right product for WordPress. That's it.
But first of all, to finish off with HubSpot, apart from the marketing, why they must be pleasing some people. What are there any real strengths?
They're pleasing companies that have a corporate orientation, because as a first mover from the early days, just like Salesforce set the market, they have become a verb. Okay. They have become a metaphor for what people are supposed to use for automation. And the people who come into this, it's like, look, I used to love working on cars as a teenager. I used to learn how to adjust the carburetor and set the points and all this stuff that no longer exists, because now you plug a plug in and a computer does it. For people who don't know any better, they go, somebody told me I need to set up marketing automation. I guess it must be Salesforce or HubSpot, and the company's paying for it, so I have no idea what it should cost. But when you're an entrepreneur in WordPress and your whole stack costs you $600 a year, and then they want $900 a month for 1,000 people on your list, all of a sudden you're like, what just happened to me?
Yeah.
I mean, I think,
do you see what, because with my non-profits and my associations and my other clientele, I've had a couple that have been suckered in by HubSpot, and they're between 25 and 50 people. And I just think, but do you think, I'm not sure of this, you got a better, you got more connections. Do you think they've been successful in peeling off a few of the clientele that are using Salesforce? Because talk about charging, the Salesforce crew, they make HubSpot look cheap, don't they?
Here's the difference between those three legacy giants, which the third is no longer a giant. Salesforce, Mark Benioff, it is a back office CRM first, okay? It's not a marketing automation, email marketing automation.
Well, they bought some free party.
That's not my point. My point is the companies who run Salesforce need Salesforce to run their business on the back end. And by the way, for continuity, they'll run it on the front end. And those are enterprise clients that have all kinds of, deals that are about the service and the support and SLA and all the rest of the stuff. That is just not a connectivity for any entrepreneur on WordPress. HubSpot is somewhere a little less than that because they're really not being used to run back offices. They're front-end marketing automation. They were the first in their space and way ahead of everybody other than Infusionsoft. But because of that, and they overcame with an investment, I think, their hiccups with the politics, now they're perceived as sort of at the same space as Salesforce for any company that has the money and lack of experience to look elsewhere. Infusionsoft, Clayton Mask had an interview where he revealed where he made his biggest mistake, which was when he took private equity and they forced him to do that whole upgrade the software and keep in that disaster, which screwed them, in my opinion, from being the leader of the entrepreneur connecting the WordPress space, even with all the tchotchkes.
Well, it's not only that, Spencer, their business practices, mate.
But they did it to everybody. They charged $2,500 in the early days just to talk to them. Literally.
Yeah, they literally screwed people left, right, and center.
Okay, but the bottom line is those three are the dinosaurs in the space. And HubSpot they don't care about anything. I would say, you would say they think their plugin's the best and they're awesome. And they have billions of dollars to prove it. They're winning. But when a client comes to me, a person who's an entrepreneur comes to me and says, what is the tool that I need? I'm not trying to sell them a Ginsu knife set. I'm trying to sell them the one spoon that they need. And
but let's move on, because let's move on to my favorite founder in WordPress. Haven't spoken to him for quite a while because he moved to Germany. He couldn't stand America anymore. But he's one of the best developers, and you work with him, but give him my love because I've still got a soft spot for him. And that's WP Fusion. How does WP Fusion fit into this nightmare landscape that we've been developing?
Well, if you made it this far in today's thing, I've mentioned WP Fusion 800,000 times because...
Well, you've done a good job. I don't know if he's paying you for every time you mention his plugin.
I mean, I will say the following. I've now been blessed because I got to meet a lot of people in person that I've never met at WordCamp US. I've yet to meet Jack in person, Jack Arturo. But I met Jack, I think it's going on 4 or 5, maybe 4.5, 5 years ago when he was just starting out with WP Fusion. And originally he was gracious enough to build a relationship with me where he retained me to help him with the positioning and marketing. But we really quickly moved into a symbiotic relationship because he was the first mover in I call it the USB cable or the Velcro for WordPress plugins to connect to the SaaS at the time CRM space. you could have a universal metaphor where somebody's a user can acquire tags or custom field data, and those can be used for tracking their journey and controlling access, but also can connect you to the CRM space. Now that we have a plugin or two inside of WordPress, it's a little more gray in that space. But for everything else, I am shocked and pleased at the same time that this many years later, Jack completely owns the space. There are similar tools that do almost something like it, but not the full breadth. There's Integromat and Zapier and Automator WP and so on and so forth. But I am pleased to say Jack, as a human being, as an entrepreneur, as a thoughtful developer, as a friend, has proven what can happen when you stay in your lane, focused on the thing. And unlike myself, he's very non-public.
Well, he's totally opposite of you because you're all over the place.
Everybody with good reason loves Jack because he does what he says what he does. He's just sort of chilling out. He moved to Germany from Iowa and he does his thing. And one day Jack will probably move on to do other stuff, which will be very sad for me because I'm sure somebody will take over the plugin if I don't have anything to do with it directly. But the bottom line is it is the only plugin in the space that gives you the full round trip experience to connect to CRM.
Well, what I've got to say, if you can't find the money or find some backers and buy it, it'd be the dumbest thing you've not done in your life.
The problem with the plugin has nothing to that's not even what I say. Him selling it has nothing to do with any problems of people interested. His issues are he's very strategic, and I won't say more, that's for him. He's very strategic about what he wants to have happen with it, and I'll leave the rest to him to talk about because he does.
I've got to say, I've worked with Jack, and he's just a great human being, and he's a great developer, very talented.
Well, I mean, like a few other people we know. I mean, like Chris and Kurt, and there's lots of players.
There's some good people. Let's be frank about it. There's some good people in WordPress, but there's some real shits as well. Let's be frank about it. But Jack's one of the great people in WordPress.
Anyway, so the plugin itself, though, is really there's basically two plugins that every site has to have. If you ask me, it has to have maybe three if I include my own, but it has to have WooCommerce, even if you're not selling stuff, and it has to have WP Fusion connected to your favorite CRM. Why? Because that is the proverbial fishbowl on the counter of your real world business back in the old days, where when people come to your site, you need to not only collect their business card, but you have to automate what you do to follow up with them so that you can not only track what they've interacted with your stuff, but also control the journey to make it a more personal experience for them. And that's the only way to succeed against the competition today. And WP Fusion does that for a fraction of the cost of anything else. $247 a year before any of the sales are applied to give you the things that HubSpot is going to charge you $12,000 a month to do. I mean, a year, sorry.
Yeah, it's got that side of it. Most people know it as if you've got something like Active Campaign or Keep or some of the Drip or some of these other, and you want to really utilize it with a WordPress website, it's the solution. But there's a lot more to it. We could do a whole show about WP Fusion, but Jack would have to sponsor me for that, actually. But
I mean, I talk about it connects everything in WordPress via the user's journey. That's what you need to know. Whatever the user does, WP Fusion tracks it.
Well, he's probably made $1,000 out because he's mentioned it about 15 times.
I benefit as well because there's so many people who come in from HubSpot and Salesforce and they're like, where have you been all these years? I just literally spent a mortgage payment on something I didn't need. And now you're telling me more than that.
They probably had to
give under $600. I mean, that's what.
So let's finish off with Zoho CRM. I've got a fair bit of experience with Zoho. We've been implementing a solution for association. I think what they offer on the CRM is really great value compared to HubSpot, because HubSpot is just a money making, this suckers much money. And Zolo's got over 5,000 employees. They're based in India. They've got a suite of tools which can be a bit confusing. Some of them are a bit iffy, but they've invested a lot of money in them. And why non-profits and associations is they like integration. They love WordPress, but they want something that can integrate, do the subscription, can do invoicing, books. They've got a product called Books. They've got a lot of separate products, and you can bolt them as Lego into an integrated platform. And they've got, and we've been successful getting it to work with WordPress. So compared to something like HubSpot, I think that's one of the keys to HubSpot's success is they offer one of their sales pitches is that they offer total integration. What's your thoughts about Zoho then?
Okay, so Zoho is, I can give them a good recommendation, but in a sort of backwards compliment way.
That's what you say about me, though, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it's very true. And there's a great metaphor there. So you'll love Jonathan Denwood, but
it's a lot of people saying that recently. But I've become Mr. But, haven't I? There we go.
Zoho is the offshore team that provides a reasonable priced version of what is promised by something like a HubSpot. Okay. The gotcha is that you don't ever have the ability to just get one Zoho service. You are essentially getting a tattoo that says, I'm on Zoho team on your forehead, because you have to sign up for the entire thing.
Wow, not quite, but you're
hold on.
correct. Yeah.
This is fact. This isn't fiction. You can't just sign up for Zoho CRM and be done with it. You sign up for Zoho, and then you are enabling the CRM. And as a result of that, there are some things that you have to get used to about the way it works, the interface. I admire the way the team set it up because it's very much like a Lego system or an IKEA furniture. I respect that. But you're not buying one of their products, and they have this entire product line right on the front page. Mail,
the thing that causes the confusion is they've got a suite of products. You can buy each product separate. Then they've got Zoho One that enables you access to all the suite. The problem with Zoho One is they've got two pricing levels with Zoho One. Don't ask me to explain on this show the difference between different pricing structures with Zoho One, because I refuse to do it, because I've got into some insane conversations trying to explain it one-to-one with clients. But you do have access to Zoho One. But if you're just going to use one for 2 or 3 of the core products, I would advise you to look to buy them separately rather than go down to Zoho One. But compared to HubSpot, it's just tremendous value, because you are going to be screwed over by HubSpot. Good and proper.
The pricing, as I say, the pricing is honest and fair no matter what for Zoho. And I've not used Zoho One, so I'm not speaking to that, but I do appreciate what you're saying. I'm saying with the traditional Zoho products, and you've acknowledged it here, you can't sign up just for a product by itself. You're signing up for the suite. But
you got to get some advice from somebody to choose which one. You know,
here's what the consequences are of that. Okay, the consequences is you're kind of joining either Team Zoho or the cult of Zoho, because with another product, again, that is a plug-in.
Well, HubSpot's just going to do the same.
That's why I'm comparing it to HubSpot, but in a different way. The pricing model, regardless of what you do, is reasonable. But the methodology, the deep integration, the stuff that you have to do through the interface, it's not the same experience. I'm going to go back to, like, if I took ActiveCampaign, connected it to WordPress with the WP Fusion, right? That's just, I know I have my CRM. I go to it when I need, if at all, and it's showing up as a result.
Yeah. I do agree with you there. I do agree.
You have to go into the Zoho suite every time.
But I do agree with you there. But the thing is, if you want your invoicing back-end system, if you want integration, you got a host of other. This is why people look at Salesforce or they look at HubSpot. HubSpot, compared to some of the extra functionality that Zoho offers, HubSpot doesn't compare to Zoho. But you you got to know what you're getting involved with, which I totally agree with you.
I don't think Zoho One applies to our conversation, to be honest, because like for the same reason that Salesforce is not truly an email or an email marketing automation plugin, it's an entire back office thing. It's just a different product we're discussing. But Zoho CRM is the thing that traditionally would compare with this conversation. So if you only paid for Zoho CRM and you're talking about this versus Active Campaign versus Sendinblue, I'm saying it's solid, it's priced okay, but you really shouldn't choose that unless you were planning on using 3 or 4 other things in the Zoho suite anyway, because otherwise you're buying like the 12 pack of flavors of coffee when you wanted one, and you have to deal with all of that overhead.
So just to wrap it up, we've had I think this is the way I'm going to put this to you for us to wrap up this show. You got the single entrepreneur, and then you got the organization. Now let's start with the single entrepreneur. If you were a single entrepreneur and you were looking either at native WordPress or SaaS, which native WordPress solution, if you were the single entrepreneur, would you go with?
Fluent CRM is always the first choice for a solo entrepreneur, whatever your stage is, even if you've made no money and it's just an idea, because it's either free or $129 for the whole year. Okay. The SaaS choice is always first Active Campaign Lite, starting at $29. However, if I ask you a question in my interview process and you say, I bought a list of 1 million people I've never met before and I'd like to send them emails, and you still don't want to use Fluent, I'd say then go to Sendinblue, because Sendinblue doesn't have the capabilities, but it's structured in pricing. So like we just talked about, you can have 1 million people on your list and you can maybe for free only send out 300 emails a day. But if you paid $25, you can send 25,000 emails a day. And that's a real value, but that's not good marketing. That's kind of spam.
Right. So if we're dealing with the organization, let's say between 10 to 50 people, and they come to you with the same question, what would be your WordPress, and then what would be your SaaS-based answer? Let's say between 10 and 50 organization.
It really comes down to the question of, are you using a CRM already? Are you holding your hand up to me?
No, I'm just kind of, you got the individual entrepreneur and you got the organization 10.
Yeah. That's what the lady at the intersection does when she wants me to stop. If you basically, in an interview with these customers or prospects, I say, do you already use the CRM? If so, what? And why do you use it? Sexchat69.site just posted up. Let's get to know our audience. We've got a good audience, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm not going to show that.
I think it's some of your friends of the show. So basically, if you've already got a choice that your company is using and it's ingrained in the business. So remember, I was suggesting, for example, like Salesforce, a lot of people have it for back office purpose. They can't undo that easily. I asked them, is it possible for your marketing automation, we can have a separate site on WordPress? If the answers allow you to do so, then I still ironically go to the same choice. It's Fluent CRM as the plugin. It's Active Campaign as the CRM. Yeah. The only time I ever recommend something else personally is if they're already using it.
Yeah, this is. I see where you're going. I would say Fluent CRM and also look at WP Fusion, and then I would say, if you're just looking for marketing automation and a very light CRM, look at Active Campaign. If you're looking at a more serious CRM and integrating other parts of the organization, I would definitely say WordPress, Fluent CRM with Zoho. That would be my take on what you've just outlined. And he's giving me that old-fashioned look, folks.
I'm giving you the look because you're saying the same thing, which is, I think, if a company needs something that's outside of the realm of WordPress and marketing automation that cannot be done with WordPress, then between choosing Salesforce, HubSpot, or Zoho, maybe one of the choices is Zoho. But that's not really what we're asking. We're asking, like, is it a WordPress site primarily for the business? And to me, that big thing, which is what WP launch kit's about, my consulting and Launchify. Everything's about putting a box together that your business owns and controls, except for 2 outside dependencies. The first outside dependency is the payment gateway. The second is the SMTP. And in most businesses, we can avoid the third dependency, which is a connection to an external CRM, by going with something like Fluent. And that ownership and control of that box is game changing for every size company, from a solopreneur to an enterprise. But you have to put the person through the question of what have you got invested in already and why, to know which is the better choice. And that's it.
That's it. Well, we're going to wrap it up now. I just want to plug our sponsors, Sensei LMS. If you're looking for a great learning management system that works with Gutenberg and WooCommerce, definitely have a look at those. There's a link and you get a great offer. To Spencer and his company, WP Launchify. Obviously, I've just shown you the knowledge that Spencer's got. Does a great free consultation, and then he will charge you, but he can give you great help about selecting the right product that we just discussed. Plus, he's got launch flows, which is his great way of making a modern one-page checkout product. You find the links to all these on the show notes. We'll be back next week with another great discussion. Hopefully, Spencer, Kirk's on holiday. He comes back the week after. Hopefully, Spencer will agree to come back next week if I haven't put him off. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.